What up, Shredder? Do you ever get up to the mountain and you're just like not really feeling into it? You're kind of stiff, you're not loose, and you look at that terrain park and you go, it's not happening today. Because I know that happens to me, but I still want to get extreme out there. So sometimes the best thing to do is just start doing flat ground tricks. That's going to get you loosened up, you're still going to get a little shot of adrenaline, and before you know it, you're going to be ready to head into that park. So today we're going to cover 5 flat ground tricks outside the park that are outside of your traditional butters. Let's get it. All right, so you all know the traditional butter where you 180 into a press, you 180 out. We have a full 14-part breakdown of that inside of Shred School. So if you're learning that step by step, go check it out. Now today, we do have some pressing into the board, but we're not gonna cover your basic butters. So flat ground trick number 1 that all of you can go out there and have fun with is called the wheelie. You can call it a tail press, you can call it a 5-0, a wheelie, whatever you want. But the point is we're gonna shift our hips to the back of our snowboard and lift that nose up. Now not only is this gonna allow you to wheelie down steep stuff, you can wheelie over chunky stuff, but you can also practice that tail press so that when you do get in the park, you can press that box like a pro. Wheelie is also going to teach you how to have control over the press of your snowboard. So if you land on a jump a little tail heavy, you're going to be really familiar with that feeling and it's not going to feel totally out of control. It's really good practice for all types of snowboarding. Flat ground trick number 2, we have the wheelbarrow. Now this looks kind of like a butter, but in actuality, it does not feel like one. And that's because you don't have to have perfect weight distribution of your hips over your nose or your tail. Because in a wheelbarrow, we're going to come up backside, we're going to dip over a little bit, come in on your toe side edge like you would a backside spin, and then we're going to ollie backside 180, but we're going to land in a wheelbarrow position with our hands down on the ground, pressing heavy into our nose. Now again, the balance point is really between those 3 points, your 2 hands and your nose. And you can just stare straight down at that nose and the tail of your board is going to fly straight in the air. Now this is a really blind position, so don't do this into a crowd of people. Try to find a nice mellow slope where nobody's around and give this a shot. Now you can either keep rotating and come out regular from the wheelbarrow, or you can lock those shoulders in and spin back out the other way. That's my preference, but be careful because sometimes I catch an edge doing this, like right here. Flat ground trick number 3 is the Cab 3, or more formally, the Caballerial. Steve Cab, way back in the day, invented the fakie 360 on a skateboard and a vert ramp. Now today on a skateboard or snowboard, if we pop off our tail going backwards, it's called fakie, and do a 360, we call it a Caballerial, or full cab, or Cab 3. So we're just gonna come up just like we would a switch frontside spin on the ground. So I like to do a little toe side edge into this, and then switch to my heels. I'm gonna wind up with my arms, and then I'm gonna push into my switch nose here. I'm gonna push that into the ground and spin my shoulders and let my board follow. Now the cool thing with this trick is you can, on a skateboard, you can just pivot this whole thing around. We'll show you a clip of that. But you can actually take off on your tail, land on your nose, and then pivot that last 180. So you really don't have to go very high or jump too hard for this. You can just swivel around from your nose to your tail and it feels really cool. I also call this the MFM 360 sometimes because he does it with mad style where it's kind of a late 180, has these really big movements popping off the nose and the tail. What up, Shredder? We interrupt this for a brief commercial announcement.
Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Not a lot of people know this, but YouTube is for entertainment. It's not really for learning. The videos that do the best are the ones that entertain the most. So if you actually want to learn how to snowboard and you're jumping around on YouTube wondering why you feel entertained, but you haven't actually gotten better at snowboarding in the last 5 years, it's because you need a different format. Now in Shred School, we break everything down step by step in a digestible manner so you can follow along from step 1 to step 200. Now it seems like a lot of steps, but that's if you want to go from first day on snow to doing your first 900. So if you like what you've seen on our channel so far and you think you've learned something from us, come join us in Shred School and help you learn to shred to your full potential. So click through below, join Shred School now, and I'll let you get back to your video. Flat ground trick number 4 is the revert carve. Now there's a lot of different types of revert carves you can do, but the one we're going to focus on today I think is the easiest, and it's also a very fun trick. Again, this is a blind trick. Find a nice wide open slope with not a lot of people. And we're gonna start by going on a big deep carve on our heel side edge to build up momentum. Once you come out of the heel side, switch to your toes and take that toe side carve about 3/4 of the way that you would if you were just going to come right back around your heels. And at the very end of that carve, you're going to switch your legs around backside 180 by leaning far forward, putting your back hand on the ground, and then just doing a backside 180 with your snowboard while keeping your shoulders kind of where they were. They're going to turn a little bit with the board, but I like to come back out the opposite way from this. So my body never actually turns backside 180. It's really the board doing it and then it's popping back out to follow my body. Now you can also take this to fakie. You can take it 360 and let those shoulders keep spinning. It's all about where that head and shoulders goes. Your board is going to follow, but I think the momentum feels really cool if you let that backside 180 carry itself back out, because your edge is kind of just going to grab in the snow and it will pull you back to regular blind. And since it is blind, it feels really cool to just pop back out same way. And trick number 5, a good trick for the base of the mountain when you're just hanging out with your friends. Not too high consequence, you're probably going to fall on it, but it's not going to hurt. We have the fast plant 180. I was just telling Dan, our filmer right now, that Travis Parker, the legendary snowboarder, popularized this trick in Afterbang, one of the greatest movies ever made. He did it off the cliffs in Nepal, but you can do it at the base of the mountain. The fast plant is when your back foot is unstrapped and you're going to get up a little speed, give a couple pushes, put the back foot up on the board, and then we're going to take it off and kick off the ground. As we do that, extend really hard off your back leg into the air, turn your shoulders front side, and do a front side 180. Now if you skateboard, it's going to be a lot easier to shift your weight on this because you know you got to kind of take that back shoulder and pivot it around and push it towards the now front of your snowboard after you 180. If you don't do that, you're going to slip out on your nose. It's probably what most people will do first try. So give that 180 shot, push hard off your back leg so you can throw that weight forward and actually lean into the nose when you land, and then right away switch with just one foot in. If you get crazy, you can try this over a backpack like we did here, but it's a super fun trick to try at the base of the mountain. Not high consequence, but it's still gonna get the blood moving. In fact, we were freezing before we started and wearing way too many layers when we ended. So if you gotta get warm, if you gotta get loose, if you're just not feeling it, give this a shot. It's gonna pump you up. So go up there on the mountain. If you need to get warmed up, try some flat ground tricks before you head into the park. That's gonna get the blood flowing. It's kind of amazing how differently you can feel about park from just a couple of runs of getting warmed up. You know, it can be the scariest thing in the world at the beginning of the day. By the end, you're ready to throw down. So one more time, we have the wheelie, the wheelbarrow, the cab 3. Number 4, we have the revert carve, and number 5, we have the fast plant at the base of the mountain. Go out there, give it a shot. Let us know in the comments which of these can you do, which ones are you going to try. What do you think? That's all for today. Peace out, Shredder.